It's time to predict the scores of Week 7 of this 2023-2024 Championship season. Week 6, absolutely phenomenal action over the weekend. And top scorer in the Predictions League with a great score of 19.5 points was Ferris 77. Myself, I actually ended up a little bit better this week with 14 points. But in the overall table now, Alex Cochrane takes over at the top of the leaderboard, just ahead of GKK 474. Alex currently on 74.5 points. Let's move swiftly on though to this week's midweek fixtures, which takes place on Tuesday the 19th and Wednesday the 20th of September. We start off with Bristol City against Plymouth Argyle at Ashton Gate. Bit of a southwest derby this one, you could say. 100 odd miles between these two sides. Bristol City currently 11th in the table, just the one defeat in their last 6 matches. And Plymouth, after a promising start to the season, have sort of fallen away a little bit recently, find themselves in 15th position. So a tight game, however, I fancy the Wurzels to take all 3 points in a 2-1 win. Then we move on to the Cardiff City Stadium, where I'll be in attendance with Nathan and a very close match. I feel this one will be between Cardiff City and Coventry. Whether Aaron Ramsey will play in this one, I'm not so sure, because he was out on his feet in that South Wales derby victory over Swansea on Saturday evening. Cardiff look good. Coventry 4 draws on the bounce, now currently in 14th position, and Cardiff on the same number of points with them on 7 points as well. So tight game, could go either way this one, but I am going to go for a 1-1 draw. We then move on to league leaders Preston North End taking on Birmingham City, who suffered defeat for the first time this season with a 1-0 reverse against Watford. Preston North End, though, it is 5 matches on the bounce now with a great 2-1 home victory against Plymouth. This one, I think it'll be tight again, but I think that Preston will repeat that scoreline that they had against Plymouth, and I'm going to go for another 2-1 victory here at Deepdale. Then we move on to London, where QPR, Queen's Park Rangers, 1-0 up against Sunderland on the weekend, but to succumb to a 3-1 defeat in the end. And Swansea, after a cagey first half against Cardiff City, were absolutely dominated in that second half and were soundly beaten 2-0. So this one could go either way, but I think the Jacks will need to bounce back slightly in this one. However, I do think it will play out as a draw in the end, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 scoreline. We then move on to Southampton, where we're smashed 4-1 last time at home against Leicester in the top of the table clash, battle of the relegated sides. And Ipswich Town, another fine win. They're currently in 3rd position, 5 wins in their last 6 matches, and they beat Sheffield Wednesday 1-0 on the weekend. So another tight one to call. Southampton really need to get something out of this match, I feel, after back-to-back defeats. Can they beat Ipswich at home? I think it's going to be tight, this one, but I'm going to go for a draw in this one, and I'm going to go for Desmond's 2-2. We then move on to Hillsborough, where Sheffield Wednesday are only 1 point this season, find themselves in 23rd position at the moment, taking on a team that has just done a little bit worse than them. Results wise, they're exactly the same. So what can we expect here at Hillsborough? This is their chance to get a win for the first time this season, and I think they will. I think they'll narrowly beat Middlesbrough, who've been absolutely woeful this season. I'm going to go for a 1-0 home victory to the Owls. We then move on to Ewood Park, where Blackburn Rovers, after a good victory at home against Middlesbrough, incidentally, 2-1 on the weekend, take on Sunderland, who had a fantastic win against QPR after going behind in that match. And this one will be tight, and I fancy it to end up all square. Sunderland will be full of confidence after that comeback on the weekend. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. We then move on to the John Smith Stadium, where Huddersfield have recorded back-to-back wins now. On the weekend it was a good 2-0 victory over fellow strugglers, you could say. Rotherham, the Millers 2-0. And Stoke City, after So much promise in early season, and a lot of people tipping them to do well this year. Currently in 19th position, 3 defeats on the trot. I can see this only going one way. I think Stoke, the Potters will score, but I think Huddersfield will take all 3 points, and I can see them winning 2-1. We then move on to Hull City, who currently find themselves in the heady heights of 5th position in the league, against a resurgent Leeds United, who dispatched Millwall at the Den 3-0 on the weekend. Joe Perreault coming up with another couple of goals for Leeds United. This one will be tight, but I fancy Leeds looking really good at the moment, and Hull will give them a game, but they won't be mauled by the Tigers this time, and I see Leeds United winning this one 2-1. We then move back down to London, where Millwall take on Rotherham United. Rotherham 4 defeats in the last 6 matches. Millwall 3 defeats in the last 6 matches as well. I think Millwall will bounce back in this one. Rotherham go on their travels. They will cause a few problems, but I think Millwall will come back and come away with a 2-0 victory. Then we move on to Watford against West Brom. Difficult one to predict, this one. West Brom, a 0-0 draw against Bristol City, and Watford with that good win, and they needed that. That was their first win in 4 matches for Watford in the last match. Difficult one to predict, this one. Under the lights, Watford could take all 3 points. West Brom, only 1 defeat in 5, so I think this is going to end up as a draw, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 scoreline. And the final match of this game week, probably the match of the round, sees Norwich take on Leicester City. Norwich now in 4th position in the table, 4 wins out of the 6 matches they've played this season, and they are the top scorers in the division with 15 goals, taking on a Leicester City side who bounced back magnificently with that 4-1 victory against the Saints. So will Leicester have too much class for them? I think they will. I think it's going to be tight, but ultimately I see the Foxes winning this one 2-1. So that concludes my predictions for this midweek game week 7. Make sure you leave your predictions over at the Superbru website. Enjoy the action as well, and I'll see you all in the next video.